in warmly welcoming Sri Balram Yadav. You will use this?
Both, yeah.
You want this one?
No, I don't. So, Honorable President, office bearers, dignitaries, it's my proud privilege to talk about a very landmark initiative of central government which has been initiated. And I'm sure that oil, as you know, is a long journey for this country. But a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. So probably future generations will see the benefit of all the initiatives which the central government has taken. I also echo what you said, that one of the great blessings of, you can hear me clearly? Great blessings of COVID was that online meetings with the government were very frequent. The iterations were very well, and I must say one of the big advantage was that what we could not tell them physically, we could always tell them online. And people who have been participating in this, you know that the kind of exchanges which happened with the government and by the industry, I think the tone, tenor, and the demands were more aggressive. And I must tell you that government has also changed a little. They are more interested in listening, and I'm telling you, last 15 months we have been engaged with them on certain infrastructure funds, farm laws, and this. I must tell you, full marks to them for their response on different things. So one of the first meetings of this was one of the new things which has come up is unofficial consultations by the government. And I think I was called and I was said that, what is your view about the oil palm industry in the country? And I said that this is the longest or the oldest startup we have had in agri sector. You won't believe that people talk about oil palm, but when was it started? So it was in 1959 that India started thinking of oil palm. And then one committee was formed and they identified that, no, I can, okay. Yeah, they identified in South India and Tirupura, forest can be converted to oil palm. 1972 to 1982, another committee was formed with Mr. Reddy, and they suggested plantations in Kerala and Tamil Nadu, and based on which everybody knows that our first shine in oil palm was started in Kerala, and of course it was abandoned after several years of poor performance. And they also went to Andaman, and this was largely unsuccessful. Then Directorate of Coconut Development, Ministry of Agriculture, Kochi prepared a project and raised 2,400 hectares, and with limited success in 1976. Then 1983, introduction of integrated oil palm. Then the technology mission on oilseeds was initiated by Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, and this was led by Dr. M.V. Rao in 1986. The big change was this Department of Agriculture and Cooperation appointed Mr. K.L. Chadda to identify oil palm areas in the country, and they identify 5.75 lakh hectares. But later they said that we need more area and we can go for irrigated oil palm, and then you see that area was increased to almost 2 million hectares. In 2014, Technology Mission on Oilseeds converted into National Mission on Oilseed and Oil Palm. So I think huge amount of effort has been made in several years, but the big one comes now with the outlay of about 11,000 crores, about $1.5 billion, which is called the launch of National Mission of Edible Oil, Oil Palm, NMEO-OP. I don't want to tell you why oil palm is critical, etc., because everybody knows the capacity or ability of oil palm to produce oil per hectare as compared to other oil seeds. Now, why I call it startup? Because it is, most of the time the governments have had this initiative which can be probably slyly termed as kiss and keep quiet. So sometimes they will start with a big bang and then suddenly it will fizzle out, and between federal government and the state government, nothing much will happen. So you can see the potential is 2 million hectares. We can produce about 6 million tons of oil palm theoretical potential. But only 16% of area is covered right now. And that also is a farce. And you can see different plans also. Every time there is an outlay. But achievement is 42%, 26%, 57, 56, except for 1 year, 94% achievement was there because the target was very less. So I think it has not been a great success. Government says that we have 3.7 lakh hectares of oil palm. According to us, it is not more than 2 lakh hectares because most of it has been uprooted. And the reason is that government still counts area where they have paid subsidy, whereas farmers have taken subsidy and uprooted. It has been successful only in one state, even though we have factories in Tamil Nadu, Goa, Mizoram, etc. Every state started the whole thing with a big bang and again kiss and keep quiet. So I think Andhra Pradesh is the only state where some amount of work has been done, and all the companies which are successful in this business, Mr. Asthana from Ruchi is there, Triple F, AP Oilfed, Telangana Oilfed, are come from the same area. Every year there has been a lot of subsidy earmarked for this initiative. Unfortunately, utilization has been very poor. Overall utilization in last about 15 years is about 78%. But it has been very bad in last 5 years, only 50%. It is not that we don't want subsidy, etc., or the farmers can survive without subsidy, but most of the governments are almost on the verge of bankruptcy, so they are not honoring their commitments of subsidies of 2017, 18, 18, 19 also. And I'm talking about state governments. So half-hearted execution is one of the big problems of this industry, and that is why no global players came. Whoever came also went away from this country, and there are only 4 or 5 big companies which are there for times immemorial, and I don't see any great interest of other global players to come into this because of the following reasons. One of the problem is that state governments under political pressure keep on revising the formula so that we have to pay more and more. In 2013, we were retaining about 33% of the value in this business to take care of our cost, development, etc. And now we retain about 24.75. So margins have come down significantly. Then the subsidy for plantlet has not been revised. We give the sapling to the farmer at 10 rupees. We get 117 rupees. And we buy the sapling now at 126. And these are grade 2 sapling. The grade 1 sapling which have come, the semi-clonal ones, which can give 20 tons of yield and 20% OER. Those saplings will cost close to about $2.50. And unfortunately, the government was not listening to us. And this subsidy also I'll talk about, that this 107 rupees we would demand from the government, and that is pending for several years right now. The big problem is that this requires this is a plantation. And everybody knows that initial years are very important. Fertilizer is very important, irrigation is very important. Unfortunately, fertilizer subsidy was also not given to the farmer. In Andhra Pradesh, it is pending for last 2-3 years. There is gestation period, and most of the farmers in India are marginal. The first 4 years, there is no cash flow. So it is difficult for farmers to sustain without any income. And I think that is one of the big bottlenecks of this business. I was talking about subsidy. Farmers have not received subsidy from 2018-19 onwards, almost 3 years. And the industry has given saplings and grown the business, but we have also not received the subsidy. And there are no assurances also. So I'm saying that the state governments were definitely in charge of the whole process, and everybody knows the performance. The other thing is that anytime you start talking about oil palm, they will come to Northeast. And I think that obsession with Northeast is something which we have paid a very heavy price for, because we signed up with government of Mizoram and we did a lot of development there. Triple F and Ruchi also did, but we were the ones who had the biggest area and we had to set up a factory. This is the kind of opportunity or the potential which exists, but only Mizoram went for a very aggressive plantation. Unfortunately, out of 26,680, only about 3,300 is active. So this has been the dismal performance in Northeast. And I want to share these numbers for all these people who want to probably look at Northeast. We set up the factory there in 2015-16. Every year we have lost money, every year. And it looks very, I'm saying that getting 14,000 tons to break even is not a big deal. But there are so many terrain problems, farmer problem, infrastructure problems, that even getting 4,000 or 5,000 tons also is a big problem. The other thing is that inward freight, because of the hilly terrain, is very high. We spend almost 2,000 rupees a ton to get things into our factory. Then the oil has to go to Calcutta to be processed. And one of the things which I want to warn you all after suffering all this, that state government guarantees mean nothing in this. So they will promise and they will not deliver. And I must tell you that in the year 2017-18, one part of our area which is connected by a small bridge, the small bridge collapsed. It took them 2 years to complete that bridge, and I think that it would have not taken more than $2 million to do that. But it took 2 years and we just lost that area totally. So challenges Northeast, I said evacuation of fruits. Second thing is inward freight is very high. Then outward freight is very high because the oil has to go to Calcutta and land holdings are very small. To get a truckload, which is about 5-6 tons of fruit, we have to go to about 10 to 12 farmers, cover about 15-16 hectares. It's not easy. Now, we had brought this to the notice of the government in innumerable meetings. Perhaps I would have attended more than 24 meetings, but nothing much happened. But only in last 1 year, I think everything started firing. And we are so glad that most of the things we pointed out have been addressed in the new policy. So we wanted planting support to the farmer. We got it. Price assurance to the farmers and processors. We wanted a mechanism which is like MSP and may not be MSP, because MSP becomes the eternal support to the farmer and keeps on draining the exchequer, which has been addressed. Focus on high quality seedling for higher yield, addressed. Post-harvesting infrastructure and training, because most of the plantations are become tall now, trees are tall. We need specialized equipment to harvest. It is not possible to harvest them easily, and we need capital support for that. And focus on Northeast and Andaman Nicobar. That was a compromise we have to do to get things done, because government is still very obsessed with that area. So I must tell you that earlier, you see, we used to get 12,000 rupees per hectare as subsidy. And I'm so glad that it is not a marginal improvement. It is a sizable improvement, because the government is saying that please import top-notch genetic material, because this is a plantation and it is a long-term commitment for almost 30 years. So germplasm has to be very good. All the subsidies remain same, but I want to point out that implements. So these are the harvesting equipment, threshers, etc., because it generates a lot of biomass which can be used to make the soil better. So that from 25,000 has gone to about 75,000. So this is a very welcome change. In 4 years, the farmer, instead of 99,500, will get 1,69,000. The other interesting thing, and I think this credit goes to the industry and the government to arrive at, is something called a viability price. And this is math. And one of the reasons why it could happen is several bureaucrats in Ministry of Agriculture are IIT graduates. The mathematics was not a problem. So which is normally a very big problem when you deal with the government. So earlier the formula was a very complex formula, 75.25% of the OER, which the state government will fix, plus 10% of the nut price. So nut price is one variable, oil price is the other variable, and OER was out of the, because there is a terminology we used to use in management school. That's something which we could not justify through literature or reference. We used to call it POTA. It is pulled out of thin air. So we never, I'm sure that Asthanaji knows that industry or the government mills have never got more than 17.5% OER. But we were asked to pay 18.68% because of obvious reasons. And I think that was draining us. But now this formula is simple. One formula for the whole country. We will pay 14.3% of the oil price to the farmer. There is nothing called nut price, this price, that price. Today, our outflow is about 15.2, 15.3%, so that is a concession. And that was very much needed because we don't get that kind of OER. The second thing is that the government will support the farmer through a viability price. And viability price is a very interesting mathematics. 5-year price, average 5-year price corrected for wholesale price index. And we ran the numbers for last 10 years. And it is a fair price for both the processor as well as the farmers because they get benefit and penalty of high and low prices. But overall, on a long term, their returns remain good. So I must tell you that this viability price, if it is more than the formula price, the central government through direct benefit transfer will reimburse the farmer. So it will bring lot of sanity, lot of data will be generated, and we will be the nodal people to tell which farmer has brought how much fruit. So instead of trusting their data, they will trust our data because we will be the recipients of the fruit. So I'm saying that our participation in this pricing mechanism is the most welcome thing. So this is a calculated methodology. People who are interested, I'll have given the presentation. I think it is a shareable presentation because there is nothing except for my Mizoram numbers, which is not in public domain. So I can definitely tell you that the math is very good. And one of the best part of this is that we wanted some concession for Northeast. And they have given a 2% OER concession in Northeast. So that's the best part of this. Apart from that, the Kandla port price will be taken as final, corrected by 1.5% for freight. So I'm saying this kind of math, I think, was unheard of in previous negotiations, etc. It was a one-way traffic. For most of the time, I have dealt with governments on this issue. Quality seedlings. So they'll give subsidy for nursery. They'll give subsidy for seed garden. And I think that is very important to attract smaller companies to come into this business because most of these states have to give allocation to at least 15, 20 companies to be able to cover whatever they want us to cover in a short time. And the subsidy is more in Northeast and Andaman. Then one-time grant of 25 lakh rupees to buy equipment and give it to the farmers. And I think most of us are planning to create some kind of a system where farmers on a very nominal rent can take the equipment and use it and bring it back so that we can maintain it and keep it. It is in our interest if they harvest it better because any improvement in oil extraction ratio will be a direct injection into our profitability. Training and development, we were left on our own to do this, but there has been subsidy for that also. And I think this will help us in organizing farmers and starting several laboratories, etc., to test their for this soil and leaf testing, etc. So I think huge amount of impetus is there for development also, not only on sustenance of business. Special package for Andaman and Nicobar. So I've gone there as a tourist, not as a person to evaluate oil palm. So I do not know, but it was a failure last time. We will study. But I think that there might be an opportunity there also because technology has changed. The other thing is that just look at for Northeast, one of the big demand was infrastructure. 50% of actual cost and 20% of total outlay for roads. Can you imagine to promote a crop? Government is saying that we will help you make roads also. So I think there is nothing more the central government can do here. About 21,000 per hectare assistance for land development in hilly areas because they have to make these half-moon structures which cost money. So as soon as anything is announced in this country, तो अब हिंदी में कहते हैं ना गांव बसा नहीं उससे पहले मतलब the people have to oppose it. So people have come, and one journalist asked me that will you kill all the orangutans and other people also. So she had not even done the basic research that in India, all 2.5 lakh hectares is not forests which have been destroyed, but crops which have been turned or replaced. So I'm saying this is the lack of knowledge of people who start opposing everything. So I'm saying that it is afforestation, and we have in our next time probably if you want I can present data that wherever oil palm plantation density is more in AP, their rainfall has improved over last 15 years. And I think that you would have noticed that our districts where we are present receive more rainfall than several other districts where where the forest cover because of oil palm is less. So I'm saying that these are the things which will continue to happen. So anything which comes, people have to oppose it. Then another thing is that a lot of people ask me, is it very profitable? So I say that there is no crop apart from opium, etc. in Afghanistan, which is as profitable as this crop. If you see, the best part is that everybody says that it is water hungry. And this is a data that I can read it for you. You have to bear me with for one more minute only. So sugar, 22,000 liters per day, and it is an annual crop. Banana, 28,000 liters per day. Corn, 8,000. Cotton, 15,000. And oil palm is about 11,600 liters per day in flood irrigation. In drip irrigation, even it is lower. Then this, we have taken yield per hectare as 10 tons, whereas our I would say, 60th or 50th percentile is about 18, 19 tons. We have taken, and the price of oil here for calculation, we have taken about 70,000. And for 1 rupee cost, the farmer in oil palm gets about 4 rupees at 10 tons per hectare. At 17, 18 tons per hectare, he gets about 8, 9 rupees. Whereas in cotton, he gets, for every rupee he invests, he gets 2 rupees. Paddy, for every rupee he invests, gets 2 rupees. Banana, he gets 2.39 rupees. And for sugar, he gets 1.25 rupees for every 1 rupee invest. So this is the kind of thing, because the marginal investment and marginal variable cost in the plantation is negligible after 4 or 5 years. You just have to fertilize it, you just have to irrigate it. 2, 3 people can take care of 10 hectares also, and you need the team of harvesters at the right time. So I'm saying that we already have I would say, excess of sugarcane, paddy and wheat. Unfortunately, this crop does not grow, or this plantation does not grow in Haryana and Punjab. Otherwise, the edible oil problem would have been solved in no time. And they would have converted, because they are so industrious. But having said that, my sense is that everything is right about this crop. A little bit of hand holding is very important. And now, government has ticked all the boxes, whatever we had asked for. I have no complaints. And I think there are several people here who have been present in these deliberations. And I would say that I think we have got a deal which probably we had never expected also. So the ball is in our court, and ball is in the state government's court to make it a success. And I'm very sure if they support it well and utilize the subsidies given by central government well, it will be a grand success. Thank you. Any questions anybody wants to ask? So we have had, central government has mediated some meetings, and the senior most bureaucrat of state governments are present in those meetings. So one of the best things which has been incorporated is that in case you don't take this scheme, state can do whatever they want. They're free. It is a federal structure, and agriculture is a state subject. So, but they will not get any support from center. So even the earlier support will also be put in this. So it will be a loss of revenue for the state in case they don't do that. And second great thing, sir, is that one of our recommendations was that don't give the money to state. Put it in the oil palm escrow account. You get your 20 rupees, then you can get this 80 rupees. And I think that will be part of the state and central government MOU. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. So I'm saying that they are doing everything, DBT directly. You know, and states, unless until they sign the MOU, they don't get these benefits. No viability price, nothing. And third thing is escrow account. Today they get money for oil palm, they use it in something else. And some other money is used somewhere. So I'm saying that way some checks and balances are being built. But having said that, fingers crossed, it is a federal structure. Who will win at the end? You know how many pushes. I'm saying that there is so much of gap between cup and the lip. I think 4 lakh. We would be 4 lakhs because we did one estimate at the association level, sir. So I will not talk in terms of oil. What I am saying is today we have say about 2.25 to 2.3 lakh hectares. And we were expanding at about 20,000 per annum because state governments were allocating that area. So it was rationing that you do 3,000, you do 4,000, you do 2,000. We could have done 5 times more also, sir. But they did not have subsidy money to support the farmers. Now, if that is taken care of, and if we are told that you can do whatever you want and allocations take place and MOUs take place with the certain states which are pending, I think that from FY23, because we will have to import seedlings now, from calendar year 23 onwards, we can easily scale up expansion to about 60-70,000 hectares, and FY25 onwards, we can scale it up to about 100,000 also.
There is one perception that palm oil yield is about 4 tons per hectare. What has been your experience as far as India is concerned? Are we around anywhere near that, or still around?
Sir, everywhere, I think we have that. So Tamil Nadu is about 1.5 tons. Mizoram is about 2 tons. But I must tell you that Ruchi can also give their data. But I would say the top 25% people in Andhra Pradesh, the farmers who have drip irrigation, they fertilize on time, they keep track of micronutrients, they are getting about 18 to 20 tons per hectare, and we get about 17.5 to 18% oil. So we are seeing between 3 to 3.5 tons already. And these are indigenous seedlings or seedlings we imported from Univanich in Thailand, etc. Once the semi-clonal comes, sir, semi-clonal, they're promising 25-20. And unfortunately, you know, if you take majority of our farmers are big farmers, but they're also absentee farmers because they had the resources to convert everything and not have cash flow. So I'm saying that all of us have to work together, but conversion 50, 70, 80,000 hectares, not a problem for us.
Very good.
Thank you very much.